It was later learned that Bush and particularly Clinton secretly permitted Texaco Oil Company to send oil in violation of the presidential directive. This discovery was so prominent that you couldn't miss it. It was the lead story on AP the day before the Marine invasion, when everyone had their eyes glued to AP, and the press managed to suppress it. It was reported in the Wall Street Journal and a couple of industry journals, a couple of minor papers here and there, but almost nobody knows about it. That's Clinton. Actually, under Clinton, trade with Haiti increased even beyond Bush. The terror increased. Finally, in 1994, Clinton apparently decided that the Haitians had been tortured enough. He sent in the Marines, mainly to protect the junta and the wealthy, and allowed the president to return, the elected president to return, but on very harsh conditions. The conditions for Aristide's return were that he accept the electoral program of the defeated candidate in the 1990 election. Very harsh neoliberal program. So, for example, no import restrictions and no subsidies for development and so on. Well, the consequences of that are pretty obvious, and they were understood immediately. So USAID came out right away with a report saying that the effect of this will be to destroy what's left of Haitian agriculture for good reasons. Haitian rice farmers are quite efficient, but they can't possibly compete with U.S. agribusiness, which is getting maybe 40% of its income from U.S. subsidies. Government subsidies, so of course it'll wipe it out. And that's considered a good thing, because remember, their comparative advantage is not producing rice. It's better for economic reasons for them to import highly subsidized U.S. rice. They're supposed to go back to assembly plants. So that was very progressive. And it did destroy Haitian rice farming, staple of the food economy. So the country had been self-sufficient. Now it imports almost everything. There were small businesses, a few small businesses that somehow managed to survive, but they couldn't survive these policies either. So, for example, one small business that was working in Haiti was producing chicken parts. They do raise chickens, and the factory was making chicken parts. Well, it turns out Americans don't like dark meat. So there's an excess of dark meat in the corporations like Tyson and the other big ones, and they don't know what to do with it. So they tried to dump it. Well, they tried to dump it in Mexico and Canada, but they have functioning governments, so they could use anti-dumping laws and prevent it. But Haiti, thanks to Clinton, is not permitted to block meat that's dumped from Tyson and others. So that poured in, and that wiped out this little industry. And that's the picture across the board. I mean, to Clinton's credit, a couple of weeks ago, he did make an apology, sort of. He said he didn't understand that when he imposed these conditions, that it would, he said the conditions he imposed were very good for Arkansas rice producers. Didn't mention the chicken industries. They were very good for Arkansas rice producers, but they did wipe out Haitian rice production. He couldn't figure that out at the time. He couldn't read the USAID report or so on and so forth. But he did apologize, which is very rare. I mean, I have to say that's almost unique case in history. Try to find something like it. But it was clear that that was going to happen. It did happen. It just helped destroy what was left of the country. In 2000, Aristide, there was an election. Aristide was elected again handily. The U.S. at that point, this is now Bush II, blocked any aid to Haiti on spurious grounds. They also blocked international aid, so aid from the Inter-American Development Bank and so on was all blocked. Haiti had to continue paying interest on the aid that it wasn't receiving, that it was not allowed to get the aid. So, of course, that's another horrible blow to the country. Meanwhile, there are one after another disasters taking place. I mean, a tropical storm goes through the region. It'll kill thousands of people in Haiti, maybe 2 people in Cuba. Same storm, but different societies. Any minor event in Haiti is going to be magnified because of the destruction that's been imposed on the population. In 2008, there were food prices rose very sharply over the world, and there were food riots all over the place. The first ones were in Haiti because their food supply has been destroyed. People are starving. In 2004, the traditional torturers of Haiti, France and the United States, helped by Canada, swept in, kidnapped the president, sent him off to Central Africa, and reimposed their own military regime, led to another wave of terror. The U.S. has been trying to keep Aristide out of the hemisphere. 1 or 2 countries haven't agreed, but they're certainly not going to let him back into Haiti. And then we're up to today. When the earthquake came along a couple of months ago in January, it was a serious earthquake. But, for example, there was a much more serious earthquake in Chile a couple of weeks later, and that one killed a couple hundred people. This one killed maybe 250,000 people and devastated the society. And it's a man-made catastrophe to a large extent. Aristide did politely approach France a couple of years ago and request that maybe it's time to give them a little help to overcome the effect of this horrifying indemnity that they imposed. France did establish a committee, a government committee, led by Regis Debray, old leftist. They determined that there was no merit in the request, so that was dismissed. And we're now up to now. I mean, there is a fair amount quite a lot of money coming in. The question is what should be done with it. My opinion is it shouldn't be called aid. It should be a fraction of the reparations that are required by any honest standards. And it should go, I think, to the popular organizations. Despite all of the hideous destruction that's taken place in Haiti over many years, it still retains a lively, functioning civil society. The ones who swept Aristide into office in 1990 in unbelievable poverty. Unless you've been there, you just can't fathom it. I've been in a lot of awful places, but nothing like that. But still, it goes on. They're functioning, they're lively, they have ideas, and they're the ones who ought to be taking responsibility for and giving an opportunity to try to rebuild something from this wreckage of centuries of imperial destruction. But whether that happens or not, or how it happens, is basically up to people like you. So I'll stop there.
I want to set up the Q&A for you. Okay, Dr. Chomsky will take your questions. I also want to mention that we have his latest book, Hopes and Prospects, for sale down in our visitor center.
I would like to ask you if you could comment a bit on the role of the United Nations in Haiti, if you will, if it has been something that's been in line with the World Bank and the IMF approach, or it's been separate, and if you could talk about the UN's role in the world per se as an institution. Is it doing more damage, or do you make a difference between UN agencies like UNICEF and all versus like broadly the UN?
UN agencies in Haiti?
In Haiti, if you could comment on that, and also on the world. I worked briefly with the UN. I'm trying to figure out how to get out of it and trying to...
You were involved with UN agencies?
Yeah, and I just like to get my moral compass right with you.
By and large, I mean, if you've worked with the UN, you know what it's like. It's a very cumbersome bureaucracy with a lot of corruption, and pretty awful. But by and large, they do about as well as they can under those conditions. The constraints on the UN are the great powers, mainly the U.S., of course, the most important power. In the case of Haiti, the UN did complain publicly that, as did other aid agencies, that they weren't able to introduce aid because when the U.S., when Obama set in, the immediate reaction of the United States was to send in a huge military contingent, which took over the airport. And the aid agencies, including the UN, claimed that aid shipments were blocked while soldiers were being shipped in and so on. But as far as I know, they've done a fairly decent job. I mean, the question is where the aid is going to and what form it'll take.